My memory suddenly recalls a dark time for humanity due to an extremely dangerous COVID-19 epidemic. That dangerous pandemic spread worldwide for many years and caused countless deaths. People worldwide were locked down and could not move between regions and countries. Death, poverty, decline, and economic loss haunt all humanity. Many people became out of control in their thoughts and actions. Medicine calls it mental illness. After this deadly pandemic, mental health diseases have broken out in many age groups. The sequelae of that epidemic not only cause mental illnesses but also causes people to suffer from many other diseases. Through that epidemic, the truth of humanity is revealed more and more intensely. Those are the toxins in each person that are unleashed. Many people take advantage of the complicated epidemic situation to commit fraud and robbery, and some take advantage of their high positions to commit corruption and cause heavy losses for people and the country. Some people, for profit, produce fake and poor-quality drugs to profit during epidemics. Besides, people's kindness is also strongly activated. Many people do not care about danger to participate in helping the sick. Many people donate money and effort to help people. Many scientists are constantly trying to research and develop particular medicine to help patients. Doctors are not afraid of danger when coming into contact with patients carrying fiercely contagious diseases to cure patients. Society then became confused and scared. Many places worldwide were blocked, and people were not allowed to leave their homes and travel to other sites. His classes also had to close for a year, which was the year when the epidemic was most intense and fierce in the country where he lived. The epidemic was like many continuous tsunamis, which worried the students and patients attending his classes. They were constantly in contact to stay informed about their health during that bad time. It was wonderful that none of his students were in danger during that pandemic, even though many were infected with that hazardous virus. The teacher and students all miss class. They all want the epidemic to end soon and to return to class to continue with great lectures. When the government lifted the blockade order in the classroom area and the place where he lived, he went to the classroom to work every day. Besides, 3 of the teacher's most wonderful students also came to class every day. They were young men. 2 got wives, had children, and were siblings, and 1 man is not married yet. They have accompanied him for many years as he spread enlightened knowledge. They are always by his side when he has difficulties. Every time the teacher talks to them, he has new ideas for transforming the wisdom of the 2 truths to become superior. Those 3 students are among the teacher's outstanding students. They strongly believe in knowledge and enlightenment practices to help many people. Even though the epidemic was dangerous, those students still came to class daily. They chatted and sipped hot cups of tea with the teacher. After that, a few mentally ill people regularly came to the classroom during many months of that epidemic year to listen to and receive treatment from the teacher. They got to class because they lived in the same city where the course was located and had limited travel within that city. Also, while not teaching, he considered translating the sublime knowledge of the smallest energy particles into his new enlightened knowledge. Because many years ago, when he transformed the original yin and yang embryo in the tuolin into a dual energy filter, he created a highly sublime amount of knowledge. It is the knowledge that people can hardly understand. But if understood, everyone will thoroughly understand everything in and out of the universe and themselves. The sick will miraculously recover, whether physically or mentally. The teacher has been thinking about it for many years because he wants to make that knowledge simple and understandable for everyone when they learn about it. Only the teacher can fully understand that sublime knowledge because it was created from his tuolin, and he inherited it. He once told his students that no one would understand that knowledge, and it would not be knowledge to teach people if he taught them the original sublime knowledge. However, he is not satisfied that only he understands that knowledge. Therefore, the teacher constantly tries to find solutions and transform that knowledge into knowledge that is easy to learn and understand while retaining its original value. A year off from teaching and studying for the teacher and students was a valuable time for the teacher to transform that sublime knowledge into easy-to-learn and understand instructions. He began to talk little by little about the knowledge of the smallest energy particle to the sick people and his 3 excellent students. He drew pictures of the smallest energy particle and analyzed the details, problems, and secrets within the particle. Sometimes students and patients could not understand the teacher's words because it was too strange and challenging for them. When he realized that, he continued to change and transform that knowledge in different directions of analysis and explanation. In teaching the knowledge of the smallest energy particles, from that sublime knowledge to the 3 students and the sick, the teacher always observed their faces and expressions. Those subtle observations helped the teacher promptly adjust the difficulty level and ease of knowledge when teaching and treating them. That knowledge transformation process lasted for nearly a year. A year off from teaching due to the epidemic was of great value to him because he had a lot of time to transform sublime knowledge into magical teachings of the smallest energy particles. That is something that later, when people listen to, learn, or read, they will find it easy to understand and fully understand, because there is knowledge of energy particles as a standard for understanding and practicing the wisdom of the 2 truths. After many months of listening to the teacher analyze and explain the smallest energy particles in detail, the 3 students quickly changed their understanding of enlightened knowledge. They have applied the knowledge of the smallest energy particle to explain all the secrets of humans, tuelins, all things, and human suffering. It is a great success when students can understand some of the sublime teachings the teacher has made simpler and easier to understand. Besides, the teacher observed in detail the patient's expressions when listening to his lecture and analyzed that knowledge at different levels. Sometimes, the teacher only teaches them to comprehend the 2 truths without understanding the smallest energy particle. The teacher meticulously observed everything. He later told his students,
"It's exciting. Every time I preach or talk about the knowledge of the smallest energy particle, the sick people become conflicted. But when I wasn't talking about energy particles, they had no conflicts or manifestations. It is inaccurate if we look at this to conclude that they are cured of mental illness. However, when I analyzed different levels, they had different heavy and light conflicts according to the lecture level. When talking about the secret information in the particles' reincarnation mechanisms, and their movements, sick people will erupt in extreme, uncontrolled conflicts." One of the students immediately asked,
"So does the soul in them receive information from the knowledge of energy particles?"
"Yes." Upon hearing the knowledge of the energy particles at different levels, the patient's severe and mild conflicting reactions proved that their souls received what I said. That shows the power of knowledge of the smallest energy particle in healing human diseases.
Teacher, when you analyze and talk about the information in the smallest particles, I always see a stream of energy being transmitted above my head. I feel tension in my head and forehead. When the teacher stopped teaching, I felt my head return to normal. The actual result is that you can use the knowledge of the smallest energy particle to decode everything in life.
So, transforming that special knowledge from difficult to easy has been successful. That's something I've wondered about for many years. Now it's done. So, a year of stopping teaching due to the epidemic was not in vain. I will combine that knowledge with the knowledge of the 2 truths to teach classes when the epidemic ends. It is the most wonderful, enlightened knowledge for tuelins and humans.
Then, my memory took me to his other classroom after the pandemic ended. That was the class where the teacher taught his students the most understandable knowledge about the smallest energy particles. Even though he has converted it into knowledge that is easy to learn and understand, it is still not easy to know when this knowledge is so strange to everyone. Therefore, the teacher divided that enlightened wisdom into many parts to teach in different lessons. If the teacher talks a lot about that knowledge in a few lessons, his students will not be able to receive it, because the soul inside them cannot accept and retain it in their yin and yang embryos. The teacher said,
In past lives, I taught my students the knowledge of the two truths and spread it everywhere. At that time, human knowledge was limited by ideology and social development. Therefore, I could not preach knowledge about energy particles to them. Because of this, when students learned knowledge of the two truths through simple theories and explanations, they quickly understood and practiced wrongly when moving through different living environments. It has become a complex problem to solve when each person's toxins explode strongly. Therefore, understanding and practicing the correct value of knowledge of the two truths was a great challenge for everyone then. As a result, every time my Tuolin leaves the body behind to return, the students in the human world distort the knowledge of the two truths according to their incorrect understanding. This leads to subsequent generations of people learning false knowledge, and their practicing path becomes more arduous. To solve that challenge in this human life, I must offer a particular type of knowledge combined with an enlightened understanding of the two truths as a standard for learners and practitioners. It will help learners and future generations avoid understanding and practicing incorrectly. However, this knowledge is complicated, and people will only be able to understand it if I transform it into its simplest form. Because I was concerned about that issue for many years, until today, I began to preach that particular type of knowledge to you and everyone. Please prepare yourself mentally, especially those with various medical conditions and mental illnesses. Because when you listen and receive information from this knowledge, you will have powerful manifestations of conflict in your body, mind, and intellect. People who are not sick will feel tension in the forehead and head and heat all over the body. People with the disease will have additional symptoms such as itching, nausea, headaches, bone and joint pain, red rashes on the skin, more frequent hallucinations, and even loss of control over the severe mental illness. Those of you who are sick, please understand that these symptoms are due to toxins being released from your soul, toxins being released from your body when your soul receives the information of the lecture through the brain. In previous lessons, I have repeatedly mentioned the smallest energy particle so that you can get acquainted and understand its basic information. Today, I begin to analyze the smallest energy particle's knowledge deeply. It would be best to concentrate on listening and re-listen many times to understand quickly. When you understand, your soul will build a wonderful ideology to practice the mechanism of producing sustainable energy particles. For the smallest energy particle, please look closely at the simulation of a type of energy particle. It is the smallest positive energy particle. Please observe to remember it. It will help you build exceptional thinking compared to what you have learned. The structure of the smallest energy particle consists of 3 parts: the shape of the particle, the intellectual wave code strand, and the internal energy state of the particle. As follows. First factor. That is the intellectual wave code in the particle, and it begins to form from point 1 to point 3. This intellectual wave code is the information storage part of the particle, also known as the particle's intelligence. The intellectual wave code is born first among the 3 elements of the smallest energy particle. It is generated by any physical structure formed from the original yin and yang energy embryo. People, animals, trees, vegetation, rocks, water, and planets can be seen. Next are physical structures that humans cannot see with their eyes, such as tuolins, human souls, animal souls, and souls residing in plants and rocks. The second factor, that is the shape of the smallest energy particle. The particle is oval, a transparent white membrane that protects the strand of the intellectual wave code and the energy state within. The particle's membrane is formed after the intellectual wave code fiber is born. Third factor, it is the energy state inside the particle. It can be called an electric wave state. The energy state is born from point 2 in the wisdom wave code. From point number 2, it forms negative, positive, or neutral energy particles. It is also the point that generates power for the energy particle. Once the energy state is generated, it is stored inside the particle, and it has different colors depending on point 2 in the intellectual wave code strand. The energy state of the particle is also a symbol of the information quality of the intellectual wave code fiber. Therefore, through the color of the particles, we can evaluate the information quality of different types of energy particles. The three elements that make up the smallest energy particle cannot be separated from each other. If one of the three elements is missing, the energy particle will not exist. They are closely linked and protected each other. Then, from the smallest energy particles, they bond together to form larger physical structures. Next, let's look at the simulation of the three types of intellectual wave codes of the smallest energy particle. The picture is a simulation of three kinds of intellectual wave codes in the type of negative energy particles. The same is true for neutral and positive particles. Please observe the intellectual wave code of all three types. The intellectual wave code is the segment from point 1 to point 3. In particular, the segment from point 1 to point 2 is the vibration wave code segment. The segment from point number 2 to point number 3 is the intellectual segment. The intellectual wave code fibers of all the smallest energy particles that make up all things in the universe are divided into three types: simple intellectual wave code, complex intellectual wave code, supercomplex intellectual wave code. As follows: simple intellectual wave code fiber. This type of intellectual wave code fiber forms the smallest simple energy particle. Then, those particles bond to form simple physical structures such as plants, water, rocks, human bodies, animal bodies, solid matter, liquid matter, gas matter, planets, stars, and all the matter humans can see in the universe. It is called the simple intellectual wave code or simple energy particle because of the vibration code that creates it. It means that in the vibrating wave code of a simple energy particle, there is little information encoded. The amount and quality of data are simple. The vibrational wave beats between the negative and positive extremes are not many, and the speed of information vibration is the slowest compared to the other two groups of energy particles. So, when they join together to form larger physical structures, humans can see, touch, and feel those materials. Complex intellectual wave code fiber. This type of intellectual wave code fiber forms a complex energy particle. When those particles connect, they will create energy flows to nourish and operate the movement and existence of the universe. When they join the yin and yang particles, they will form the yin and yang energy embryos and become intelligent souls in rocks, trees, and animals. This type of particle is called a complex or complex intellectual wave code because the vibrating wave code creates that characteristic. It means that the vibrating wave code has a lot of encoded information, and the amount and quality of the encoded data are complex. The vibrational wave beats moving between the negative and positive extremes are very large, and the speed of information vibration is also very fast. Therefore, this type of matter has a quicker moving speed than the moving speed of simple matter. It is also why humans cannot see this matter with their eyes. Supercomplex intellectual wave code fiber. It is called supercomplex energy particle or supercomplex intelligence wave code thread because its vibrational wave code forms that characteristic. The quantity and quality of information encoded in the vibration wave code is vast and supercomplex. The vibrational wave beats between the positive and negative extremes are many more than the groups of simple and complex particles. The speed of information vibration is super fast. These yin and yang energy particles with supercomplex intelligence wave codes connect and develop into tuolin and tuolin life forms. Because the vibration speed in the intellectual wave code is super fast, humans cannot see them with their simple eyes. Thus, the three most minor groups of energy particles with different intellectual wave codes constitute the three types of matter of the universe. Simple matter is made up of simple energy particles that form planets and the entire universe. Complex matter is complex energy particles residing in simple matter to help each other survive and develop. Supermatter is tuolin formed from supercomplex energy particles. They build and operate the life of the universe with their superior intelligence. They are the most intelligent life forms in the universe, so they are responsible for creating, protecting, and sustainably developing all forms of matter in and outside the universe. They control complex groups of matter linked with simple groups of matter to form magical orbits of all planets in the universe. You continue to look at the picture depicting the 3 types of properties of the smallest energy particles. Observe the characteristics of each particle. Each simple, complex, and super-complex energy particle, they are divided into 3 different characteristics. It includes negative thermal properties, called negative energy particles, positive thermal properties, called positive energy particles, and neutral thermal properties, called neutral energy particles. Each type of particle characteristic has a different nature, as follows. Positive energy particles have the nature of radiating heat, transmitting information from the inside to the outside environment. Inside the particle is stored valuable information that is comprehensive and true. Positive energy particles can bond with negative energy particles to become yin and yang energy embryos, which then develop into larger physical structures. In addition, they connect to form aggregate positive energy particles to build their system to become stronger. Negative energy particles have the nature of absorbing heat and absorbing information from the outside environment into itself. Inside is stored valuable information that is missing or incorrect. Negative energy particles can bond with positive energy particles to become yin and yang energy embryos, which then develop into larger physical structures. In addition, they connect to form aggregate negative energy particles to establish their system to become stronger. Neutral energy particles are balanced in nature and become the linking material between positive particles synthesized together to develop a more robust physical structure. The 3 types of energy particle properties have different natures, but they become perfect pieces of each other. They can be linked together to become physical structures more extensive than the smallest particle. That is why, from the smallest simple energy particles that cannot be seen with the human eye, they bond with countless particles to become physical structures that humans can see and touch. Of course, humans cannot see complex matter and supermatter with their eyes.
When the teacher finished the first lecture on the knowledge of the smallest energy particles, some students were interested, while others found it difficult to understand. The facial expressions show that. Understanding that the teacher asked,
"Is this knowledge difficult? Do you find it easy to understand?"
Teacher, when I listen to your lecture, I find it easy to understand and visualize because you have simulated that knowledge with the image of the smallest energy particle. However, I still do not see the knowledge of the 2 truths in the smallest particle.
The teacher laughed and said,
"It is 2 truths because it is the truth, the nature of things, phenomena, tuolins, animals, humans, and everything in the universe. The knowledge about energy particles just learned is the basic foundation to enter into special thinking and special enlightened knowledge."
The teacher continued to ask,
"Do you feel any expression or conflict when you hear this new knowledge?"
Teacher, I feel hot over my body and tightness on my head and forehead.
Another student said,
I feel more pain and headache than in previous classes.
In the coming lessons, the informational value of knowledge will be much stronger, so the manifestations of conflicts between your body, mind, and brain will appear more strongly. You should not worry. Those manifestations are perfect because your soul can receive special information about that knowledge. This helps the mind to become enlightened quickly and thoroughly, and mental and physical illnesses will be cured faster.
After that class, his students often talked to each other about energy particles. A term for the smallest energy particle was born, spreading everywhere through his lectures and students. The enlightened knowledge of the 2 truths has been embedded in the smallest particle of energy, becoming increasingly popular as people learn and practice that knowledge.